Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about my 2-year anniversary of starting to make content for BookTube and AuthorTube. My first videos actually were from 2011 and 2012 if you order them from oldest to newest, but obviously there was a big 9-year gap until I started making content again. And actually I started uploading a few videos again in August of 2021, but my first actual videos introducing myself as with the intent to do like BookTube and AuthorTube was on the 9th of September of 2021. I can't believe it's been, that long already. And as I've said many times, like I started making content again in preparation because I was going to do, and I successfully did. That's still my video I'm proudest of, a recitation of Canto 1 of Inferno in the original medieval Florentine Tuscan Italian for Dante's 700th Yahrzeit death anniversary on the 13th, 14th of September of 2021, and I just felt like it was a natural outgrowth, like, the natural thing to do, make BookTube and AuthorTube content, because I love reading since I was 3 years old. I had hyperlexia, which is advanced full-blown reading at a very, very young age, and I've also been a writer since I was 4 years old. That's, I believe that's my calling in this lifetime, just the thing I was born to do above all else. And so obviously it just felt like the most natural fit, and so I just basically got right in there. And obviously I acknowledge I did probably definitely made a lot of mistakes over these 2 years. Like, for example, I've seen a lot of other booktubers and authortubers and just generally other YouTubers I follow saying, oh, I was working on gaining a following and a huge friend group before I even made my first video. So they had like 100 subs already when they started like uploading. So, and I definitely did not do that at all. I didn't realize I was very naive. I just stupidly, kind of naively thought, oh, people are just going to click on my video when they see it and they'll all be commenting. I mean, obviously I never expected like a huge amount of subs overnight or to just get like lots and lots of comments, but I just was, I guess, naively expecting more success than I have had, particularly because like all these other, booktubers and authortubers, which I follow, even the ones who don't have like really big channels, but just more like, mid-size or even respectably small channels, they definitely have a lot more, active subscribers and commenters than I do. So I guess, just, pick yourself up, like learn from your mistakes and just try to go better doing forward. And if not, just, embrace being a lone wolf while it lasts, because, sometimes like you can do things when you're a lone wolf and you're kind of really flying under the radar than you could get away with when you're like a larger YouTuber. And so obviously I still have very poor click-through rates. Like, it's kind of humiliating to see them. I mean, I try not to look too much at my analytics and algorithm, but you can't help it sometimes when I see a click-through rate of like 0.7%, like 1.2%, like 3%. Like, what am I doing wrong? Are my thumbnails that terrible? Or am I turning people off, like with the low average watch time? Like, what am I exactly doing? Are these like, TikTok generation people who, oh no, you're not entertaining me from the jump. You're not like screaming or giggling or doing a goofy voice or saying cringy things, like all the things. I hate that phrase so freaking much. Or just not hooking people within 10 seconds, or like, God forbid, introducing myself or like providing a little context to what I'm talking about, like background information, a cute, fun, like directly related little story that maybe like 1 minute or so that directly leads into what I'm talking about, instead of, hey, today we're talking about XYZ and we're starting right now. Like, that's just not something I could ever do. It's not my personality. Am I too serious? Maybe just my topics aren't, mainstream or general interest enough. And like, I still don't have particularly many comments. I think it's a successful video when it gets 3 comments or more. Like, frequently I just go in expecting like no comments, because that frequently does happen, particularly for my book review videos. And the view counts often, like, I do have some videos that have like 100 or more watch times, and my most successful video to date is still 14,000 some views, about what happened to the Romanovs, Russia's last imperial family, who were murdered on the 17th and 18th of July in 1918, and what happens to them in my alternative history and Alexei live. But like, generally I frequently have less than 100 views, sometimes less than like 50 or even like 20 or 30, although it's usually not as bad for most of my views anymore. So maybe I am doing something a little bit better. But obviously it's like never a sign of success for a channel when you're flatlining your views that low and that quickly. So obviously I just generally have to learn to do better and do like things to make people want to actually click on my videos and not DNF them, because maybe I'm just like boring them or something, or I'm just not being put out there and like recommended on the sidebar or the homepage or the feed or whatever to the right kind of people, or maybe like my subs like were like one and done, or they just like clicked to subscribe to me but didn't click the notifications bell, or I'm just like not showing up in like things they're seeing or whatever. So just let me, like, use guys, please let me know, like, when, what, at what point did it really tip for your channel to like go from like, oh, people might know about me and comment every so often, or people don't know about me at all, to, oh, I'm regularly getting like 5, 10, 20, even more like comments on every single video, and people actually like, know who I am, to like name drop me on a regular basis. And as I'm sorry if I'm rambling too much, this video is completely unscripted. My original screen name was Butter Schnitza, which I had until I started making content again, and I'm 21, but I just realized I needed something that was like a lot easier for people to remember and be able to pronounce. My real first name is Anna, but my middle name is Ursula, and I've always preferred my middle name to my first name, because it's just, my first name is so boring. It's the second most overused female name in history across like pretty much every single like Indo-European culture, and even a few like non-Indo-European like cultures that are like very closely related, like, you know, Kartveli and the like the languages of Georgia and that region, you know, like Finno-Ugric, like Finnish, Estonian, Hungarian. I know I'm getting off topic, but I am a name nerd. But anyway, my like first name is just like so overused. Even the name Mary is more like original seeming these days. So I've obviously always preferred my middle name Ursula, and even like, unless I have to sign my like first name for like legal reasons on a like a check or whatever, I almost always sign my name A Ursula, and that's, you know, just how I've been like signing it since I was like I guess again in high school. And I chose the second part of my channel name because The Who are my absolute favorite band. I started getting interested in them, and when I was 13, I started liking them when I was 14, and I like seriously fell in love with them when I was 20. Actually, I just had my 23-year anniversary. I can't believe it already. Yesterday, the 9th of September, for listening to my very first Who album, Tommy. It was just, and I actually bought it on the 7th of September, but didn't get to play it all the way through until the 9th. And at the time, I had no idea the 7th of September was Keith Moon, the drummer's Yahrzeit death anniversary. It was like, you know, Hashgacha Pratik, divine providence. It was meant to be, you know, before it was meant to be. Like, I knew before I knew. So, and anyway, The Who have a 1974 album called Odds and Sods, and they appear on the cover. They're all wearing football helmets, or they would, as they would say in their native UK, soccer helmets. And so that's basically just like, you know, leftover odds and ends and stuff. And I do like, you know, a lot of, you know, British terminology that is a very British, like, you know, slang word. And if you might notice, I do use a couple of British pronunciations, like process and like, you know, progress. I know that sounds like so pretentious to many native like English speakers from America, but like I don't care. That's just that that's how I genuinely started like pronouncing those words in that way. And so anyway, I do acknowledge my thumbnails still are not as good as they could be, you know, but I do believe I have made some progress since I started uploading. Many times I would forget I had to take a thumbnail, so I'd had to like get back into the clothes I wore for the video and like hold up the book or do whatever. And now I usually do like I do my thumbnails in preview in Mac. So I basically do like annotate and add text, and I like choose like what color the text should be like outlined in the box behind it, and the typeface for the text and the color of the text, and just like things like obviously putting the text boxes like on the top of the video or like on the side or whatever, just, you know, things like that. And I do realize that looks still looks kind of amateurish next to the kinds of thumbnails a lot of other people do. So I am still looking at some point into trying some like free version of a software, just like a one-off, see if I get any more hits than I have been getting, because obviously a thumbnail is something that really makes people want to click on your video, and if it looks like amateurish and unprofessional, they're going to just keep like saying, oh, I don't know that person from Adam, that's a random stranger, and that video only has 15 views. Well, I'll just keep watching videos from my BFF since kindergarten, like let that person, you know, like flounder in darkness. And I do watch a couple of videos in the how to improve your channel / content niche. Particularly Nick Nimmin and Channel Makers. I'm the guy who was the head of like Channel Makers. Nate. He's unfortunately he decided to, you know, part ways with them. Obviously no hard feelings. He wasn't like fired or anything. He just decided to like go his own way, and now he has his own channel like with further advice for like how to improve your content and such. Nate Black is his name, so check him out if you're interested in. But anyway, and also other channels I've, you know, watched but maybe not necessarily subscribed to about how to improve your videos and like your outreach and such, and a lot of them seem to have contradictory advice, particularly when it concerns that the specifics of like BookTube and AuthorTube, which like by like 95 or more percent of my videos are geared towards like they'll say, oh, you have to hook your audience within 10 seconds and you have to jump right into the topic or they'll kind of DNF your video. You can't even say hello or don't say goodbye. Don't say like in summary or in conclusion. I don't think I've ever needed to say in summary or in conclusion, but there are some topics where you like genuinely need to say those phrases or don't say anything off topic. Like, so like if you say quickly at the beginning, like, oh, today the lipstick I'm wearing is, or today this, oh, look at this awesome new necklace, or oh, I'm sorry, I have a scratchy voice. I'm just getting over a little bit of laryngitis or something like that. And they like, oh, if you say anything off topic, people are already going to stop watching your videos because you need to hook them right away. And like people have such short attention spans. Why are we catering our videos to like clowns on TikTok who can barely sit still for 20 seconds before they start bawling and throwing their toys out of the pram? Like seriously, like I make videos for people who can actually know how to sit still. Like believe it or not, that was a thing back in my day. I was born in 1979 and I feel just like such a dinosaur compared to these like kids nowadays. They have such short attention spans. And as I mentioned many times, my channel has not been an instant success. I would still consider it a failure in terms of like my comments and like number of comments, like the watch times, the number of like views and like the click-through rate and basically like things like that. And so obviously it takes like all kinds to, be on YouTube. And many people, I realize they have like good intentions and maybe they're kind of like not like subconsciously projecting their own like experience onto everybody else. Like, oh, if I did it, you can do it. Like those people who say, oh, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps to become a millionaire, so you can do it too, even if you have no boots or someone is standing on your boots. So like I am really happy for you if you like had like hundreds of subscribers within your first like 5-6 months and like everyone was rolling out the red carpet on your first video and like warmly welcoming you and like you had like all these friends and like immediately. But unfortunately that just doesn't happen for everyone, and it's kind of like unhelpful and setting people up for like like disappointment if like they're led to believe, oh, you'll have like best friends, like dozens of best friends within a couple of weeks. Just keep commenting on as many like videos as you can and like trying to like make yourself a familiar name to them and like do all these readathons and read-alongs and stuff like that. But unfortunately it just doesn't happen. Like some of us have to grow very, very slowly before people even know who we are. And like I realize it's it's kind of like in school, like sometimes frequently, like I hate that trope on like television and movies when the new kid is like instantly popular and like everyone is like, oh, pretending, oh, we've been best friends since kindergarten. Like in real life the new kid is frequently like ignored or just not necessarily treated badly, but just like, oh, they care more about the best friends they've had since kindergarten instead of like the new kid who has to prove him or herself until they're like get an invitation into the in crowd or like the popular kids or any kind of friend group in the school. Now, my editing skills have improved, I would say, a fair amount since I first started making the videos. At first, I could only do the basic YouTube editor because I did not even have iMovie. I still don't have enough room on my current main computer. But luckily, I finally did like make the jump, and I ordered a newer computer. It should be here hopefully within the next week or so. So maybe I will have iMovie on that. But anyway, I do have iMovie on my iPad and my phone as well, so I obviously have to go through the big like process of production of rigmarole of like shooting the video on QuickTime on my computer, saving it to my external hard drive, airdropping it to the usually the iPad, like almost never the phone anymore, like editing the video on iMovie, and like sometimes if there's enough room, like saving it to my photo library on the iPad and uploading it to YouTube from there. Sometimes if it's like too big for the iPad to save, I have to like free up more memory. I have to upload it, download it back onto the computer and then like pull it off of the downloads folder onto my like external hard drive and then immediately delete from the downloads so I can like free up space immediately on the computer from that. So it's basically a long involved process. So basically I'll obviously have many more like options now that I have iMovie. I'm not a slave to the like the basic editor on YouTube, and I like really fluffed up when a couple of times when I was doing the edits there, because you have to know like the exact like second, like micros, like second within a second, whatever, when you're taking out the frames when you like messed up or want to edit that out or whatever. And I like edited out a little bit too much by accident on those like 3 or so videos I had to do the video editor on YouTube for. So thankfully iMovie is so much better. I can like edit out the exact frames I need without worrying I'm accidentally deleting more than I actually wanted to, and like an important part of the video I can, add text and add pictures. I know how to resize the pictures and make them fit in the screen. I can, if I'm doing like picture in picture, or screen on screen, or fill screen. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the exact names of the like functions or the commands. So like you can do it like in the corner, but I still haven't figured out how to have the picture like staying in the corner for like more than just a single frame. So like unfortunately the few times I've like done that, it's like it's not exactly the same size the entire time. So it's like looks kind of amateurish, like it's like changing size incrementally, or like just a little bit, like sometimes it's a little bit bigger and sometimes it's a little bit smaller. And like I really hope that's definitely my next thing I want to work on learning in terms of my like video editing. But I'm probably never going to do like the fancy bells and whistles, even if I knew how to do them, like slow mo or filters or things like that. I'm just like a basic, like very like humble, like working class, like get what you get, like straight shooting type of person. I'm just basically happy with the simple editing functions. As I alluded to previously, there's been a lot of contradictory advice with people like saying, oh, like hook your audience right away, don't ever say anything off topic, or they're already stopped watching your videos, don't even say hello. While like all the like booktubers and authortubers I've been regularly watching, they do this old-fashioned thing called building a personal connection with an audience and like introducing themselves, instead of like, oh, let's jump in right now, I'm not going to give any like warmth or like emotions or like indicate I'm a person outside of making this video. It's all about, oh, you're coming here because I'm answering a question in a very specific topic, and as soon as I'm done answering the question, you're gonna DNF the video because like God forbid you like watch for 30 more seconds when I do some housekeeping, because like I'm just gearing my videos towards the TikTok generation. I'm sorry if I'm stereotyping like Zoomers and like millennials, but it's just like it's such a big generational divide for me at the very tail end of Gen X, with these people who just like they just grew up in an entirely different time and have so much like such a different sensibility than I do. And getting back to that topic, following all those advice like doesn't necessarily work for newbies. Like like doing the right kind of like hashtags and putting keywords in the title, like doing like how to, if you're trying to do the answering a question route, like spending 4 or 5 hours on your thumbnails, like working on the titles, like changing your title after 24, 48 hours and changing the thumbnail to see if that works a little bit better. But if we're not being like boosted anyway by the algorithm, or people don't know who we are, we don't have a lot of like friends or regular commenters, or people aren't name dropping us constantly, like what good is that going to do if a video like flatlined at, let's say, like 30 views already like a week ago? What good will it do if I change the title and change the thumbnail and put in different keywords? Now it's already been buried by the algorithm. Who's going to click on it unless like by chance someone discovers my channel later and starts exploring my backlog of videos? I'm looking through my list of most popular videos. I don't think it really has changed too much since the last time I did a video talking about this subject. As I did mention previously, my most viewed video probably will always be, at least unless maybe there's something else going to go viral, or like a future video or something, will be the video about the Romanovs. I did it on July of 2022. It says obviously 1 year ago. So obviously, and that I know many people probably think that sounds like totally pretentious, but the correct Russian pronunciation of Russia's imperial family is Romanov. I know many people say Romanov, but that's not actually correct. I do have a past video from a few months ago about like Russian pronunciation, like transliteration and names. So like check that out if you're genuinely interested in learning more about this subject. And then my second most viewed video is Essential Divine Comedy Translations at 787 views. And then at number 3, which was my most viewed video until the Romanov video about domesticated turkeys enjoying life from 10 years ago, it has 742 views. That was when I was a camp counselor at an Orthodox day camp, and I was taking the nursery campers to a local hobby farm and I believe they had like a general store, and you could like buy stuff and like pick fruit and berries and stuff like that. And so it's basically the turkeys. And I do have most of my earliest videos from 2011 and 2012 are animal videos, although my first video and my third video are like talking about a book, which my first book published, which I was doing it for Brenda Lee Drake's contests, and I have since decided to do it through indie publication. I quit trying for traditional publication. That's a whole topic for a whole other video. And my fourth most viewed video has 696 views, my ranking of Hermann Hesse's novels, what I love, what I barely remember, what bored me, and I absolutely love Hermann Hesse. I have a whole playlist about him, so check that out if you're interested, and I do still plan to add many more videos to that playlist in future, and that's the number 5 at 502 views, why non-Italians should read the Divine Comedy in Italian. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to learn Italian or medieval Italian or just like read a language you don't understand, just at least, look at the like forward face, like the page by page like translation, like on one side it's like Italian and the other side it's English, or listen to someone reciting it just to get a feel for the language. So like check that video out. Oh, and I do have a whole playlist called All About Dante and the Divine Comedy, and I'm a bit overdue to start like getting back into making some more Dantean videos. I'm planning another one to go up on Wednesday, and then number 6, it also has 502 views. The Divine Comedy in Translation, What to Look For, Comparison of Opening Lines, and then obviously more Dantean videos. Number 7, How Not to Translate Dante, Part 2, Clive James's Divine Comedy translation is pretty bad. That was putting it very charitably at 402 views. And then Damien by Hermann Hesse, Part 2, Plot Summary, my all-time favorite book, that has 410 views. And number 9, Ambidextrous Writing Demo, which I did just before I started making BookTube and AuthorTube content in August of 2021. That has 379 views. And then number 10 is Bat Flying at Twilight with 348 views from 10 years ago. And you can hear me and my ex, thank God he's an ex, Sergey, talking in the background. And don't think I'm being like a little pretentious twit by correcting his grammar. He told me I could correct it. His native language is Russian, so he still made a lot of mistakes because his family, like even they lived in Israel for many years, and then they came to the U.S. during the first Intifada in 1989. So he didn't really have a chance to speak much English, only like outside of his house. So he still made a lot of grammar mistakes, and he asked me to correct him. And now looking at 2 years in, I haven't given up hope of like improving my channel. You always should be looking forward to like stepping up your editing game and like filming and doing like writing scripts and stuff and getting more friends, because like you should never rest on your laurels. Even if you're lucky enough to have 1 million subscribers, you should always strive to improve in some way. And I really do like still always hope maybe someday I'll get more active subscribers, particularly because as I've banged on so much about, I'm going to make a long video series about Giovanni Boccaccio's classic Italian book of like 100 short stories, the Decameron. It's one of my absolute favoriteest books, but I just don't feel it would be worth all the time, effort, and emotion if only maybe like 2-3 people are commenting on every video, particularly with my booktuber book review videos in the past. Like frequently they have no comments, so I felt like, why should I bother? Maybe I shouldn't do so many videos about that if people just aren't going to watch it. And that's how I gauge the success of a video, like how many people are commenting on it and how many views it's getting. And so obviously like book review videos haven't been very popular. And also when I tried poetry recitations and for National Poetry Month in April 2022, those also were not very popular. So I decided I'm not going to do that again this year. People just aren't going to watch or comment on that anyway, so why put in the effort? But I am still like hoping to get more friends and network with more people. Maybe people will finally recognize like who I am, even if they're not like my BFFs. They'll at least watch my videos every so often and maybe like want to chat with me, invite me to buddy reads. I'm too nervous to like ask people unsolicited to do a buddy read, because I'm like, if they'll say like, I don't know you, like why would I want to do that? I'm sorry, my schedule isn't open. It's like kind of like awkward if you're rejected. So I would only ask someone to do a buddy read or like hint at it if I were like 100% sure that person were interested in the book and really liked me and wanted to do it, because I just don't know how the buddy read invitation etiquette goes. I know I'm still such a newbie, and I'm also open to being sent Voxer messages. For the longest time I had no idea people on BookTube were doing a lot of Voxer communications, or even what Voxer is, or that they were talking on a lot of like Discord chat boards. I kind of found that out almost by accident. I do have a Voxer thing down in my description box in every video, and like you're welcome to do that. Also, obviously, as I say, like creeps and bullies will be instablocked. I have like zero tolerance for like jerks like that, because I had bad experiences when what was that thing when I was it was like that it kind of like a chat service you use, Skype, that was the name of it. Like I got a lot of like unsolicited like messages from like creeps who just wanted to like do sex chat with me, and it was like so creepy. That's why I put that little warning in there. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. And I can't mention it enough. I absolutely love seeing comments from you guys, because it means like that I haven't wasted my time making a video and people genuinely care about my content. You can even say just it's like great video, that's a cool topic, or even an emoji if you can't think of literally anything else to say, because it just lets me know I'm an actual part of this community instead of the perpetual eternal outsider looking in. And as I mentioned in a previous video, actually a couple of videos, but definitely obviously because tomorrow is the 22nd anniversary, I'm going to be talking about this very, very incredible book, 102 Minutes, the unforgettable story of the fight to survive inside the Twin Towers. And obviously 102 minutes is the title because that's how long it took for the final tower to fall. Thank you again very, very much for watching. I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.